Who can get a green card? Most people get immigrant visas, green cards, because they are related to a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. The next largest group to get immigrant visas are because an employer, the petitioner, needs a person with certain job skills or special abilities. In many preference categories, more people want visas than are available in any given year for any given country. If that is true for a person's case, even if the United States Citizens and Immigration Service has already approved their petition, they cannot get their immigrant visa immediately. They will have to wait their turn. Their place in line to get a preference immigrant visa is called their priority date. Some preferences have a long wait, so that is why it is important to get your visa petition filed and establish a priority date in the family preference category. The date a relative files the petition establishes a person's priority date. The priority date is set when the Immigration Service receives the visa petition for the family-based preference. In the employment-based preference category, the date an employer files the petition or files a labor certification application establishes a person's priority date. The priority date is set when the Immigration Service receives the petition for the labor certification from the employer. If a person is a preference applicant, they must look to the current Immigration Service Visa Bulletin to learn if a visa is immediately available for them. If a visa is available, we say that their priority date is current. Each month, the Department of State issues a visa bulletin with the cutoffs for the following month. U.S. Immigration Pathways, LLC, subscribes to the visa bulletin and gets an email each month setting forth the needed information in regard to the cutoff dates. Permanent residence based on work, talent, or investment. U.S. immigration laws recognize the value of immigration to U.S. global competitiveness and job creation. Thus, a person may be able to get a green card if they have unique skills, education, outstanding talent, or even a willingness to work in a particularly unappealable job. They may also qualify for a green card by investing in a business. Permanent resident visas in this category are referred to as employment-based visas. Now, for our summary review questions. Number 1, what two groups petition for people to get a green card? Number 2, what is a priority date? Question number 3, what is the visa bulletin? And 4, what are the 5 ways a person can qualify for a green card? Employment-based immigration. Whether a person is a housekeeper, a gardener, designer, or scientist, they may be able to get an immigrant visa based on their employment, an offer of employment. Usually an employer must prove that no qualified U.S. worker is immediately available to do the job, and the employer must prove that he will be paying the prevailing wage. Sometimes a person can get an immigrant visa simply because of the value of their skills, their knowledge, or experience to U.S. society. Every year, 140,000 green cards are made available to people whose labor or work skills are needed to fill gaps or needs in the U.S. workforce. Before a person can even think about getting an employment-based visa, green card, 2 lucky things need to happen. 1, a person needs to receive a job offer from a U.S. employer unless they have exceptional abilities or their work is in the national interest. Number 2, the employer must, with a few exceptions, be willing to sponsor them for a green card and prove that they will be paying the prevailing wage for that particular job and in that particular area, including entering into the long process known as labor certification, which involves the employer advertising and interviewing other people for the job that is being offered and ultimately rejecting all of them for good reasons. To get an immigrant visa based on employment, a person must be the beneficiary of an Immigration Service approved petition called the USCIS Form I-140, a petition for alien worker. Many people would love to come to the United States in order to look for a job and stay permanently, but realistically, employment-based green cards are mainly available to people who have advanced job skills, higher education, or extraordinary abilities. Key features of an employment-based green card are: 1. A person must begin by working full-time for the sponsoring company when the green card is approved. 2. They may switch jobs or choose not to work at all, so long as the person's original intention was not to take advantage of their employer and leave as soon as they could. 3. A person's spouse and unmarried children under 21 may also be eligible for green cards as accompanying relatives. 4. The job to which a person gets their green card must be for full-time work and not self-employment. As with all green cards, a person's green card can be taken away if they misuse it. For example, they live outside the U.S. for too long, commit crimes, or even fail to advise the immigration authorities of a change of address. If a person successfully keeps their green card for 5 years, they can apply for U.S. citizenship. In order for a person to qualify for a green card through employment, 1. A person must have the offer of full-time, permanent, U.S.-based work from an employer that is also permanently located in the United States. Secondly, a person must have the correct background, meaning education and work experience, for the job they've been offered. Number 3, there must be no qualified U.S. worker being able to take the job, except in categories of green cards where labor certification is not required. The employer must show that no qualified U.S. worker is available to do the job, and the employer must get a labor certification from the U.S. Department of Labor by going through the long process of filling out and filing the labor certification application and complying with all of the requirements. The labor certification confirm the unavailability of U.S. workers for the position. When a labor certification must support a person's petition, the priority date for a person's Form I-140 petition is the date when the U.S. Department of Labor first receives the labor certification application. When no labor certification is required, a person's priority date is the date that the U.S. Citizens Immigration Service receives the Form I-140 petition. Also, when no labor certification application is required, then proof of a person's education and/or experience must accompany the Form I-140 petition. Unless a well-known company is sponsoring a person, the employer must submit proof of the company's ability to pay the offered salary. Just because a person's employer sponsored a person does not mean that the person must stay with the job forever.